Good day and welcome again. And let's start immediately. Now, what is a terahertz wave? We are talking about terahertz, terahertz, terahertz. All right. Now, basically, the terahertz frequency, it has been there since the Earth was formed. Right? It is all around us. It's just that people didn't call it terahertz frequency until recently. Now, about 30 years ago, if you were to talk about the terahertz frequency, basically people wouldn't know what you're talking about. And they were calling it sub-millimeter waves and far infrared. But in the last 30 years, with the advances in technology and lots of development, research, so now it is called the terahertz frequency. So now, to understand it further, let's look at the electromagnetic spectrum. It is on the electromagnetic spectrum, and if you find it, it is between the microwaves and the infrared. All right. So it is working, 10 to the power of 12 in that region, which is trillions of seconds. I mean trillions of. I mean in the trillions. All right. Okay, so now let's look a little bit further. So we know that the terahertz frequency is between the microwaves and the infrared. So how is it helping us? Now, if you look further again on the electromagnetic spectrum, you're going to find lots of frequencies there. Now, for example, if we are talking about the radio frequency, it is helping you with communication. When you talk about the X-ray, it is helping you with imaging. Similarly, there are so many other frequencies. If you go to the hospital, you're looking at infrared, it is helping people with rehab, right? But the only frequency which is actually working inside your body, it's helping you, is the terahertz frequency, right? And it so happens that the terahertz frequency is right in the middle between electronics and photonics, right? Or you call it optics. So it's right in the middle. So if you look at these characteristics, you can say it's either and even neither of these two, all right? So people took a long time to understand this frequency, and only recently you find that they understand exactly how to use, right? And this frequency, one of the things which happens with this frequency is it's even difficult to have it working a long way. Even after about 5 meters to 10 meters, it is easily absorbed by the moisture, the water, and then you have a problem. All right. So now they have ways where they've overcome that. Okay. So now the most important thing is this frequency is the only frequency which is working inside the human body on the tissues, where it is helping with the molecular vibrations and rotations of the cells. All right. So it is compatible to the energy that the body has. And this terahertz frequency is now helping the body to use that energy to, what do you call it, increase the molecular vibrations and rotations. So what happens is now the cells which have gone sleeping before because of the lack of energy, and now they're awakened and now they can work optimally. All right. They can do the function optimally. All right. So what does that mean? Now, when you have the cells going to sleep, they do not function optimally. They have problems removing the toxins, removing the waste, and doing other things which the cell will want to do. So they are unable to do so many things. All right. So then what happens is disease sets in. When you cannot, and you have inflammation, and inflammation is disease. So now, once you start using the frequency, it is able to revive those cells, and then those cells now are able to remove the toxins and waste, bring down inflammation, and the cells function optimally. So besides removing the toxins and waste and bringing down inflammation, which they do, is they also bring down pain, and also the first thing they do is they look at the cells and they see whether the cells can be saved. Now, if the cells can be saved, then they enhance those cells, the cells work better. But if they find that the cells cannot be helped, then they remove those cells, normally by the process called apoptosis, all right? And also, they have their ways, okay? The cells are intelligent cells, the body is an intelligent body, all right? So they want to keep the body at homeostasis, as healthy as possible. So that's what they do. So now the first thing is this frequency is the only frequency which can work inside of you, give the energy that you want, and bring the cells back working. All right, they're giving the vibrations and the rotations. Now, besides that, what they do is they also have this intermolecular vibrations and intramolecular vibrations. Okay, basically intermolecular is between cells. Now you have organs which have similar cells and they work between them as a whole and make them function as a whole. Now the intramolecular vibration is where it works inside the cell, right? Where the cytoplasm is. So again, the terahertz wave or the terahertz frequency is the only frequency which can do that. Now, if you look at the other frequencies, they have their own peculiar focuses, all right? So that's where we are. So now we know, and again, it's right in the center between the electronics and the photonics. Okay, now let's look a little bit further. Okay, now the frequency range is between 100 gigahertz to 10 terahertz, right? And the wavelengths range from 3 millimeters to 30 micrometers. And it is in accordance and compatible with the frequencies found in our body. So this can replace or perform exactly as to how if our body had its own energy, right? So that's what it does. And it's harmless but very powerful, and it's also called the rays of life or the waves of life because people have been using this terahertz frequency without realizing that it is terahertz frequency, right? You know, you had these bangles, you had these chains using sub-millimeter waves and far infrared, you know, and people were actually benefiting from them. But now they realize that this is what is called the terahertz energy, right? Now, initially it was used a lot in the airports because it replaced the X-ray machines. You know, when you're coming in, it's scanning you. So now practically all airports have started using terahertz frequency as their scanning scanners, right? So, and it's very sharp. Please do not try to bring anything. I once had the misfortune. I accidentally put, what do you call that, a knife, a small, very tiny pen knife, where the back looks like a spanner. You know, a spanner when you turn uh, you use it. So I put it in my bag at the side pocket. And, you know, the officer there, he stopped me and he said, "Do you have something inside which is not supposed to be in?" I said, "I do not know because as far as I know, everything is okay with me." So then he asked to unzip, took it out and showed me, "Look, this is a small knife. We do not allow this in." So the scanners picked it up. All right. So that's how sharp they are. Okay. So I had to leave that knife behind. Now, after that, people started using it a lot in spectroscopy, and then they also started using in imaging. It is working much better than X-ray now. And then in the military, now China is about 5 to 10 years ahead of us. All right, they are focused on this technology, on this frequency, There are people who just focus on the terahertz frequency and come up with so many new things. They're already using in their outer space activities, and then they are using it in the military, and even their submarines are already using the terahertz frequency, the technology. All right. Now here, the other parts of the world, people are just learning about terahertz frequency. For some, it's something new, but China is about 5 to 10 years ahead. And the devices that we have are coming from China. Just to share with you, the Prive International started operations on the 1st of June 2021. That's the first time it was used in Malaysia, and subsequently it went to all parts of the world. We are in more than 80 countries now. Now, before even Malaysia used, it was already being used in China for about 2 years. The people there had already been using it. All right. So they were already far ahead. Now, another thing which is peculiar to China and which is good is that, the way they think is that, they try they as hard as possible. They do not want people going to the clinics or hospital, which means that to keep them healthy. So they come up with devices which keep them healthy so that they save on the hospital costs, and they use that money to come up with infrastructure to further enhance people there. All right. Now, whereas on the Western side, what's happening is, I don't know, please don't quote me, but they actually prefer you to go to the hospital. All right. So it's as if like they're keeping you sick. so so that's what's happening, the contrast in the West and the East, especially China. And these devices they come up with, so they are really, changing things. All right. Okay. Then they also started using with dentistry, and now they are using it in a big way with health. All right. The health industry is just beginning to wake up as to the use of terahertz frequency and how it is helping people and how people can use them to enhance their health and improve. All right. So if you're following this today, you're one of the lucky ones who is aware of the terahertz frequency and how it is helping people. All right. Now, people also ask, is terahertz radiation safe? Because when you see radiation, most people think that it is bad. Radiation only means that it is taking from one place to another place. It can be good and it can be bad. Now, it's considered safe. Terahertz radiation is considered safe, firstly, because it is non-ionizing. It doesn't steal the electrons from the atoms or molecules of the tissues of the body. Now, what's happening is lots of people buy antioxidants, right? Lots of antioxidants in so many ways to counter the free radicals which forms in the body. So partly because there are certain things which are causing the cells to be ionized. Now, this frequency is non-ionizing, and it's also considered safe for humans at low frequencies. Now, if you look at all the research done, studies done, practically all the studies are telling that at low frequencies, they are safe for humans. In fact, they're also helping with their health, right? It's just that, and then if you might have seen some one or two studies which tell you that it is bad for humans. But if you look further inside, you will find that they are using high frequencies, and high frequencies are damaging, all right? But at low frequencies, they are helping humans, and these devices are using low frequency terahertz. Okay, so these are some of the studies you can find. Okay, terahertz imaging and sensing for healthcare, the current status and future perspectives, all right, done in 2023. And then you also have terahertz technology and its biomedical application. Just to name a few, cellular effects of terahertz waves, you can go through, and usually they'll have at least a footnote saying that is also helping with health in certain ways. All right, this is another one, terahertz radiation effects and biological applications. All right, and let's look at the human body now. So before that, as I mentioned earlier, the terahertz frequency is all around us. But because of its nature, characteristics, it is not strong, it doesn't travel far. And water plays an important part where it absorbs the frequency rather quickly, and you don't feel the full effects. And it's not strong out there unless you do something to it. Now, if you look at the body, this is the skin. This is the first three layers of the skin, the epidermis, dermis, and the hypodermis. Just these three layers are good enough to block those frequency, the terahertz frequency, from getting further into the body, right? Even just these three layers, okay? And if you look at the thickness, the epidermis is about 0.1 to 0.3 millimeters, the dermis 1.0 to 2.0, and the hypodermis is 2.0 to 4.0. The total is about 3.1 to 6.3 millimeters. So this is the thickness of the human skin. Now, under natural conditions, normal conditions, this is the penetration of the terahertz wave. It only goes in about 0.1 to 0.3 millimeters, which is practically only the first layer, not even the second or third. So that is why you don't actually benefit from the terahertz frequency which is out there all around you. But then with the device, the terahertz blowers, which is from Pipe International, we have got three different models. So using them, what happens is the penetration is about 20 to 30 centimeters. So what it means is when you point it towards your body, and then your distance, the effective distance is important. So you bring the nozzle closer and it's going in about 20 to 30 centimeters, and it's going in and doing wonders to the tissues of your body. All right, now let's see what's happening. Now, first of all, why Iteracare? Why do you need to use this? Why do you need to use the blower? All right, first of all, and then how is it going to help you? Okay, now first, it is non-ionizing radiation, which we have seen just now. I've talked about it. Now, secondly is energy. All right, when we talk about energy, what comes to mind is, first of all, why people who lived before, our forefathers, were generally stronger than us, healthier than us. Why? So this question actually was playing in my mind for quite some time. And what I thought was, which I think which is rather true, is that our forefathers, they generally lived beside the rivers. All right. So, and they were drinking water from the river, or they had wells supplying the water. And these wells and the rivers contained lots of energy. The water was coming through the mountains, through the streams, and there was vegetation. Pollution was almost unthought of, and it was picking up all this energy. And then you had vortexes along the way, and that is the water which people were drinking. So that water was powering the bodies of our forefathers. Now, besides that, people were planting their own plants, and then they were exchanging with neighbors, and the wet market was very close by. So they were getting lots of energy from the fresh food. So people were living very healthily. But what's happening now is, in the name of technological advancements, people started moving into towns and cities. So what's happening now is that people are getting water, which is channeled through big pipes, and they reach your house through taps, through filters, and then through water bottles. And they contain no more energy which they used to have before. So here you have already lost one source of energy. And then the food. If you look at the food we are eating now, most of them are processed food. If you have a wife or mother or someone who can buy fresh food and cook for you, then you are very lucky. Consider yourself very, very lucky. Because most people are eating out, eating processed food, and processed food does not contain energy. Much more with junk food, and that is probably why they call it junk food. It's totally processed and it doesn't contain the energy anymore. So this is where the problem lies. For most people, without realizing, they don't have the energy. All right. So then we are looking at the water clusters. All right. So what's happening is, now let's go back to the energy a little bit. So when you don't have the energy, it's having problems removing the toxins and waste. Inflammation builds up over a long period, and that's where diseases set in, and people don't have a way as to remove it. So what basically we are doing is we are going to the doctors and we are trying to control the symptoms, all right, of these problems. Now, if you go back to the source, you give the body the energy that it wants. Now it starts vibrating, it starts rotating, it has intramolecular forces, it has intermolecular forces, and it starts working again. All right? Now, besides that, the second thing is the water. Now, the water you drink, only 50% of the water you drink is actually entering your cells. The water you drink need to enter your cells. All right? Now, I am not saying this. This is research. Research says only 50% of the water which you're drinking is actually going in. Now, if you're drinking, let's say, 2 liters of water a day, some people are even proudly say, I drink 4 liters of water a day, which for them is quite a lot. It actually is. Unfortunately, only about 2 liters is working for them. The rest is going down to your tummy and is gone. And if you take too much, it can also affect you in a bad way. All right. So you're only getting 2 liters in spite of the 4 liters you're drinking. Why? Because water is in cluster form. All right. The molecules come together and form clusters and various size clusters, and these are blocked. All right. Now, where are they? So this is what happens. So when you have these clusters, they have a problem entering the cells, right? And when you use this device, you blow using this device, it breaks them up and they become linear. Okay, so now the problem is here. So here, if you look at it again, this is the water channel. So the water channel is controlled by something which is called an aquaporin, and the aquaporin allows water of 2 nanometers and below. Now, 2 nanometers is about 4 molecule clusters and below. So anything more doesn't get into the water channel. So that's where you have the 50% going in and the 50% staying out and is lost. So now, when you charge the water using the device, it breaks these water clusters, and practically all the water now is going in to the cell via the water channel. All right. So what it means is that now your hydration is as good as doubled. Okay. So if you look at the cells, inside of them you have what is called the cytoplasm. So the cytoplasm is where practically everything happens, and the hydration in this area should be anywhere from 70 to 80%. The plasma there, all right, should be about 70 to 80% water. Then all the organelles inside start functioning and they start working. So when the hydration here is low, what happens is they do not function as well. Let me just take one organelle as an example, the mitochondria. All right, the mitochondrion. Now, it needs, first of all, hydration, good hydration to function. and then it needs the energy. And the third factor, which is an important factor, is oxygen. So if you ask me, most people will focus on the supplements, on the nutrition. So when you are talking to them, you have a problem, they'll tell you, take this, take that, this supplement, or something like that. I'm not saying that it's bad, it is good. But then for them to function even better, you must consider three things first. So for me, in order of priority, first of all, you need the energy to move the cells. Secondly, you need the hydration for the entire body, especially in the cytoplasm where everything happens. And the third factor is oxygen. It comes in when you have the energy and the hydration. See, for example, your blood. The viscosity of the blood is very high because there's lack of water. So it cannot, and then you have clumping inside there, and you cannot, what do you call it, bring in more oxygen or nutrients because it has a problem moving forward. All right, and to bring out the carbon dioxide and the toxins and the waste. But when the viscosity is brought down, how is it brought down? The water, the hydration is going to help to bring down the viscosity of the blood. So once that happens, and with the energy there, unclumping of the cells happen. So when the unclumping happens, you have a bigger surface to area ratio. All right. So what happens is now they can grab more oxygen. So now more oxygen starts coming into the tissues of the body, into the cells of the body, into the cytoplasm of the body. So what happens when more oxygen comes in? The mitochondrion is where you get your energy from. You get it from the ATP, adenosine triphosphate. All right. So now when the oxygen is low, production is poor, probably about 2 to 4 ATP. But when the oxygen comes in abundance, what happens is the ATP increases from about 32 to 34. That's a big amount, big jump. So now what you find is you're constantly powered, energized, even until at night. You find that you have energy until you go to sleep. Now you don't have to count sheep. You just count 1 to 20 when you're sleeping. And you wake up fresh because the energy is in abundance. All right. So now this also helps lots of athletes. They may not know how, but this simple trick, because when you exercise, basically what you're doing is you're trying to increase the amount of mitochondria in your cells. So if you find athletes, if you do a simple test and you check the amount of mitochondria, athletes have more mitochondria compared to the ordinary person. But well-trained athletes they have more mitochondria than the normal athletes. That makes a big difference. All right. So you can see this terahertz frequency is definitely going to help athletes as well. All right. And then you have something called a VO2 max. All right. So when this improves, your VO2 max in the body, volume to oxygen in the body, increases. When that increases, your lactate threshold also increases. So you have now a better athlete. All right. Now, besides that, you will find that those athletes who tire after what do you call it, they have something called DOMS, delayed onset of muscular soreness. When you exercise, you have pain, takes a number of days before you recover. Now, using this device, using the terahertz frequency, you will find that your recovery is almost immediate. All right, the changes come almost immediately. You don't tire so fast, you are recovered so fast. So from game to game, from training to training, you find they are more prepared. Okay, so this is something big if you know how to make use of that. All right. Okay, the next thing is these are the things going on in your body, and the cytoplasm is always overlooked. So supply them with what they want, and you will see big changes. Okay. Now it's also non-invasive. You don't have to do surgery to get things done. All right. You do not have to go through surgery. Okay. Now, how do you, I mean, let's take another example. Now, let's say your knee. Many people have knee problems. Now, in most cases, you start with glucosamine, and then you might go on to PRP injections, and beyond that, it is knee replacement, right? So this is what is the normal protocol or procedures when you go to the hospital. Now, at the end of the day, the reason could be various reasons. Of course, there could be it could be because of injuries, but in most cases, in elderly people, it is because the synovial fluid in the knee has lessened, and now the cartilage is now knocking against each other and giving them pain. All right. So the reason is because the synovial fluid has lessened. Now, what is the reason for that? Because the synovial fluid is also a living organism. It needs to be nurtured, supplied with oxygen and nutrition. But what happens is, as people get older, they tend to drink less water. So the limbs are the areas where they get the least amount of water. So there's less, what do you call it, blood in those areas, and so the synovial fluid starts shrinking, right? So what's happening is, in many cases, we have seen when you start blowing again on those areas and around those areas, now the blood supply increases, and the synovial fluid in those areas starts increasing again, and the cartilage now begins to separate because of the cushion there, and the pain is gone, right? So, a simple solution to a big problem. Because before this, people didn't understand and didn't have an opportunity to use these devices. But now, with these devices here, you have every opportunity to use them. The only thing is, don't expect something to come overnight. Give yourself time, use it constantly, consistently, and you will find that the changes will come. Right? So many people are now, treating themselves with non invasive therapy. Right. Also, we do not have contact. In many Islamic countries, both men and women do therapy. But in Islamic countries, especially, you have where there's something called halal and haram, where you cannot touch the other person. Now, with this device, you do not have to touch anybody. Okay, you're blowing without even touching them. It's localized in the sense that you can use it from head to toe wherever you have a problem. The thing is, if you have a headache before, you might go for paracetamol or Panadol, and then you have stomach problem, you might go for Gaviscon. You have a knee problem, a pain, you might go for painkillers. So different areas, different problem, different solutions. But now with this device, from your head to toe, as long as there are cells there, this device works on all the areas where there are cells and brings relief for them. Doesn't matter where. All right. Okay. And it's also specialized for two reasons. All the devices, number one, blow on yourself, and number two, blow on water to charge them. So these are the only two ways we use this devices. I mean, to blow on yourself, on areas where you have a problem, or even for general health improvement. And the other is for the water. You charge the water so that the water is working for you from the inside. All right? Okay. Now, this is a word of caution which I always want to tell you, especially if you have a lung condition. Now, with after the COVID-19, lots of people are having issues with their lungs. The long COVID and that and this, and many people are having this problem. Now, what you have to understand is that the lung works a little bit different from the other organs in the body, right? So when you get this device, many people are excited And so happens that many people have lung problems, and you're immediately blowing on the lungs, hoping that they recover. Now, the lungs, the way they recover is that they shed or they release fluids. So if you do it too fast and too soon, what happens is there's a lot of fluid collected and they have suffocation. All right? They cannot breathe, and then you have to rush them to hospital. Now that's the way lungs behave, okay? So when they're improving, they release fluids. So what happens is when you're blowing, too much water forms in the lungs, and then it becomes water filled, and then you might feel suffocation. So especially with the lungs, start slowly. Slowly blow a little bit, look, see what happens. Blow again, look what happens. Then slowly increase the duration, and you will be fine. All right? So now why the terahertz energy? Now, if you look under the microscope, you take a drop of blood, you are looking under the microscope. Now this is probably what you would see. In fact, this is how my blood used to be. There was clumping, there was no energy, there was less hydration, and movement was very poor. All right. So with this condition, how much oxygen can you trap and can you bring in your blood? All right. So, but when you drink the water, charged water, and also when you use the device on yourself, a miracle happens. What happens is they become charged. They have the energy now, the hydration improves, unclumping happens, and now they're able to bring in more oxygen into your body, all right, besides the nutrients. And also they can now remove a lot more carbon dioxide, and toxins and waste, all right? So this is how it works. Now, if you look at your body repairs or rebuilds itself in less than 365 days. 98% of your body changes. Now, if you're unable to do something to your body when it is rebuilding, then you run into problems, right? You remain where you are or you become worse because you're unable to give them good cells. But now, if you are able to give them good cells, remove the toxins and waste, and give them the energy, hydration, oxygenation which they want, and the nutrition, of course, you'll find that in 365 days, you have a new 90%, 98% of yourself. Improvement in your 98% of your body in 1 year, right? So that's what's happening to lots of people. Lots of our members, if you look at them now, they look healthier, especially for those who have been using it consistently. You find that the women are getting more beautiful and the men are getting more handsome and looking younger. All right? So this is what's happening. Okay? So let's listen to one of our members who is an energy healer from the Philippines.
Hi guys, this one, the Terahertz wand, this is something that every home needs. You could use this. This is like having an energy healer in your home, right? I highly recommend this. You could use this for pain. You could use this to calm your body from anxiety, to reduce stress, to improve sleep. You could use this for pain to totally eliminate pain. If you focus on the right points to direct the energy to, this is like having an energy healer in your home. You could use this to charge and structure water, so you're drinking water that is healthy for you vibrationally, right? You could use this for beauty, to reverse aging. This is so good for your skin. You could use this to enjoy better sleep, guys, right? If you focus on the pineal gland that's right here, it's going to help you enjoy better quality sleep.
Okay, there you go. This is a review by one of our members who happens to be an energy healer. It does so many wonderful things. So normally when we have training, we explain everything piece by piece in detail. But for today, so this is what the terahertz frequency does. Lots of people are using it. And if you have bought and it's lying on the cupboard, it's about time you started taking it out, charging the water, and started using it. Especially if you have loved ones, make sure that they use this, and it's going to bring about changes for them. I've used on people who are bedridden. The family had actually sort of given up, but the brother-in-law, who's a friend of mine, he calls me up and says, "Brother, can you do me a favor?" This sister-in-law was coming to her 80s. He said, "Can you please come to my house, talk to my sister-in-law? We want to use the blower on her. She's refusing, and then she's not drinking the water, and she's getting from bad to worse, and she's hardly waking up now." So what I did was I paid a visit. I talked to her, and I explained to her what was going to happen or why it is working. Just a little bit, something which she understands. And all I asked her was, okay, forget about the rest of your family members. For my sake, I only ask for one thing from you. For the next 2 weeks, please allow them to blow for you. Please drink the water which they give you, which is charged water. That's all I ask for. If after 2 weeks nothing happens, you go back to what you were. So she looked at me. The best thing was she smiled and nodded her head. Oh, that was good. So anyway, after 2 weeks, coming to 3 weeks, my friend calls again, her brother-in-law. He says, "Brother, I do not know what you did, but today she is walking and eating again. Thank you so much." So sometimes certain things are priceless, right? The happiness of seeing someone being able to do what they were not able to do, come back to homeostasis, to recovery, that is the something which you cannot, consider or compare with money. Okay? All right. Now, today's tips. Now, before we end today, there are some tips for you again. The first thing is why life needs water, why you should be drinking. And many people are not drinking. They should start drinking more. Why? First thing is every cell depends on it, the amount of water which you're giving it. All right? Your brain, muscles, heart, all of them need water to work. So if you're not drinking enough, they are going to suffer. Now, if they can curse, definitely they're going to curse you. All right? So you're lucky they cannot curse. Now, energy comes from hydration. When there is hydration, then energy starts working. Okay? So when there's no water, you have a tired body and a tired mind. So the water which you have been drinking, yes, it has been helping you, but switch to charged water and see the big changes that come with it. Okay? And then it removes waste. Your body needs to remove waste. It needs to flush toxins and keep your body clean inside. When it is clean inside, then many good things happen. Imagine if you in your municipality, it's dirty. You're coming home, it's so smelly with flies and with rats running around. How can you live healthily? And imagine the same scenario in your body. So that's what's happening if you're not drinking enough water. Okay, the body just cannot remove the waste. You know why? Because the body needs water for important functions in the body. Just to give you a little example of things, the body needs about 2 to 2.5 liters of water just for the utilities, all right, for urination, the big one, and then your sweating, your breathing. These are the four important things. And for this, you need about 2 to 2.5 liters of water. So if you're drinking 4 liters of water and only 2 is working, 50%, then you're still running short. All right? Now, beyond the 2.5, what happens is you need the extra water for your health. Now, what the body does is it works in priority. First, it sends to the brain, which is top in its priority. Now, if it has more, then it is sending it to the organs. And if it has more than that, it is sending to your limbs. your legs and your hands. So now you know why, if you're not drinking enough, especially the elderly, your limbs suffer first. You come up with joint pains, your elbows, your shoulders, all right? They all start suffering because there's not enough water coming there. You see, the biggest problem is urination, frequent urination. All right? They fear that if they drink too much, then they have to go to the toilet more often. But who cares as long as my body has enough water? So when they have enough water, extra water in the body, what the body does is it is able to flush the toxins and keep your body clean inside, even including sugar in the body. All right? It has excess water for it to remove. But when it doesn't have enough water, it cannot do that. So what it does is it keeps it inside together with all your toxins and waste, which cannot be removed. And over a period of time, this collect and become inflamed and they become disease. All right? So get rid of the toxins, drink more water. Okay? And the next thing is it cools your system. Okay? This is our cooling system. Okay? Your sweat is your cooling system. It cools you down. Now, if you see a car, they have the radiator where the water is going in and coming out and keeping the engine cool. Now, for the body, the water is the cooling system. When you sweat, that means it's getting hot inside and it's removing that so that you cool down. Okay? So the water is important to cool you down. Mental focus also needs hydration. Even small dehydration makes you foggy and slow. All right, you can't think properly and you're wondering, why am I not able to do my work today? Especially towards the evening. I can't think properly. And the simple reason is you're not drinking enough water. Okay? So you can survive without food for weeks, but without water, you can only survive for a few days. All right? And respect water. Don't take it for granted. Drink enough. Some people tell you, oh, I'm drinking enough coffee, enough tea, juices. No, you should also be drinking enough water. And then, especially those people who drink liquor, they assume that drinking liquor, a can of beer, is sufficient. But actually, uh, they dehydrate you. So, just a matter of perspective, if you are drinking one can of beer, you should be drinking one can of water to counter that dehydration. All right? So, for all you drinkers out there, so make sure you also drink water equally as much as you are drinking the liquor. All right? And if you can drink the charged water, you will find that the next day you are not going to have the, what do you call it? What do you call them? Hang ups? All right. Okay. So drink the water because strong minds live in healthy bodies. Your mind needs to be strong and your body needs to be healthy as well. When you drink charged water by using the blowers, you are doubling your water intake into your cells. All right. So drink charged water throughout the day. Throughout from morning till night. Change the water you drink. Instead of now drinking the tap water, instead of drinking the filtered water, instead of drinking the bottled water, drink the charged water. Go at it for about a month and look at yourself. You'll be a changed person. Right? So with that, I thank you.